Hello, Chinedu. Chidera, sorry. Chidera, how are you doing?
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing?
And we are super excited to have you today. I just want to confirm where are you joining us from?
From the UK. I'm in England at the moment.
Okay, okay, fantastic. I'm in England as well. And how is it going over there?
It's cold.
That's it. That's how it has always been. Okay, we have just a minute to start, and I should be having Dr. Bart join us. Uh, just a minute. Okay, I think let me check. Okay, we're yet to have it's 2 p.m. We're yet to have Bat. Um, let me see if I can reach him. Okay. All right. I think we will just proceed because of I don't know why my screen is not showing. Just a minute. Because of time. Can you see me? All right. We'll just proceed because of time. Hopefully, Dr. Bat will join us soon. I've reached out to him and I've sent him a message, so he should be joining us. Okay, sorry, I'm coming. All right, he'll be joining us soon. He just replied me, so I'll just please, if you don't mind, let's give a few more minutes. And I've just gotten a confirmation from him. Had some tech difficulties. Okay. So guys, let's just give a few more minutes. Hopefully, we'll get that few more minutes from him, extending some time. Okay. All right. We have Dr. Bats. He said he was having some technical difficulties. We're glad to have you join us. I think we should officially proceed with today's business. We should officially proceed with today's business. So, Dr. Bats, welcome and thank you for joining, and Chinedu as well, Chidera, sorry. Thank you as well for joining. I'll just go straight to the business with formal introductions. Today we get to talk about how Chidera secured $100,000 job as a product manager. Being inspired by Dr. Bart's course. And thank you very much once again, Dr. Bart, for being with us. Dr. Bart is a seasoned product manager, professional. He has been training product managers. His course is one of the most widely circulated product management courses on the internet. In fact, experts in the field of product management has, severally referred or listed his course on product management among the top product management resources you can find on the internet. He has thousands of students, you know, who are taking his course on different platforms like Udemy, on our platform, Dovilen, and also reaching out to him, you know, in his different channels and community. We have Dr. Bart's great product management course on our platform, which is already helping a lot of students, helping them transform their lives, helping them build stronger skills in product management, navigate the difficulties of the day-to-day. How do you find being a product manager? But today we want to make it more of a niche side of product management, how you can, you know, win a job interview. And this is not exclusive to product management. How you can win a top job interview, these skills are applicable to any tech skill you may find yourself, you know, you want to go into, like be it data analysis, be it project management, be it business analysis, and so on. So thank you very much, Dr. Bart, for joining us. Now to Chidera, we have Chidera Isuma, who will be one of our guests today. He'll be sharing how he was able to navigate his way, you know, what he learned from the course, you know, taking Dr. Bart's course, you know, what the core skills he applied, you know, in securing his dream job, and every other thing he's willing to tell us, you know, sharing his testimony alongside sharing his expertise as well. We want to learn from you, Chidera. You know, we have a big platform now. We have over 1,000 people who has registered for this webinar. 550 people are live, and we expect to get more people join us as we talk. And for those who are not able to join us on time, remember that you get a recorded copy of this webinar, so you don't have anything to worry about. And I'll just pass it on to you, Chidera. Let's start with you. Can you just please give us a brief introduction about yourself? Tell us specifically about this course and, you know, the job it helped you to secure. Tell us a bit about your career, and we'll probably take it on from there and ask other questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Bart. It's been a long time since we spoke. I don't know if you remember. I took Dr. Bart's course in 2021, as a matter of fact. He was very helpful. I found his course on LinkedIn. I reached out to him. He assured me he would cover everything I needed to know about product management, and he was spot on. I can tell you for a fact that Dr. Bart's course on great product manager by Big Tech's product manager. This is a holistic course that gives you everything you need as an aspiring product manager, and even helps you if you are currently a product manager. It gives you so much apart from the core principles of product management. One of the things I really like about this course is it teaches you a lot of soft skills, or it informs you about a lot of soft skills. And I don't think we talk enough about how important soft skills are as a product manager, because you need soft skills to be able to influence. You need that to influence stakeholders. And by soft skills, you know, one of the things that Dr. Bart's course mentions that I have not, you know, forgotten. The first time I saw it, I was surprised, but you know, it talks about integrity, it talks about transparency. And you know, your first instinct, you know, as someone in tech, you might wonder what does that have to do with anything. But when you work with product teams, you realize that you need to have these principles in check or in place. It helps you approach your products with a lot of honesty, a lot of clarity of mind. It helps you work with not just your team, but with stakeholders and other, you know, external team members in a very seamless manner, because everyone can tell that you are approaching it from, you know, a very honest angle. This course also talks about diplomacy. This is just me focusing on soft skills because I think it gets overlooked a lot as product managers. But away from soft skills, Dr. Bart does an excellent job of defining what product management means. from the very beginning, gives a very good introduction of this course. It tells you what it is and what it isn't. And um, a lot of people stop at just defining something with words and saying, okay, product manager is someone that sits at the intersection of business and technology, or a product manager is someone that manages a product, blah, blah, blah. But the beauty of this course is it explains everything in very simple forms, simple English for you to understand. So you can take in every word Dr. Bart is saying from the beginning to the end. And Dr. Bart makes a very good point to touch on everything that has to do with product management, including as going as far as speaking on the differences between a product manager and a product owner. He talks about agile and scrum activities. He talks about prioritization. He talks about product roadmap. Excuse me. He talks about having a product vision and how to write a product vision, including writing a product strategy. Talks about how to achieve value, even as far as talking about SWOT analysis. You won't find that in some product management courses because, I mean, a SWOT analysis is almost business-like, right? But when you recall that product management sits at the intersection of business and technology, you realize that for specific industries, as a product manager, if you're going to think of how to break into a market, if you're going to think about building in a niche market, you have to do your SWOT analysis and analyze what your pros and cons are, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. These are things that are very necessary. And
Right. Chinedu, sorry, I have to just come here quickly.
uh,
This is very insightful details you're sharing about the holistic course. But for this particular session, we are trying to limit it to just the niche on interview and in just more concise form. Can you tell us the key things you learned or the key skills you learned from Dr. Bart course that you applied to your interview
okay,
preparation? And if it's possible, if you're comfortable with it, you can tell us a bit more about the job, the job, the organization. If you're comfortable with that information, but if you're not, just focus on what you learned. How did it help you prepare for the interview? What kind of questions were you asked, and how did you navigate to address those questions? Or any preparation skills you can share that will help people here. We have over 70 people who are currently live with us, and more people will join. They want to learn the skill from you particularly. Time is a very limited resource. We want to hear from you maybe in about another 5 minutes here about, and we'll focus on we'll continue to hear from Dr. Bart to tell us, give us more details and, insight on how to prepare and navigate around this. Thank you very much.
okay. Well, you have to know the SDLC process. It's very important that you do. You also have to really know Agile and Scrum. This helped me during the interview. A lot of questions were asked about, as a product manager, how you run the events, the Scrum events. Um, Going further, I was given a case study to work on that, required me to figure out the prioritization of certain features within a product. And that's very key because you need to find a good balance and figure out what is most important to prioritize based on the data that you get as a product manager. So, during the interview or after the interview, I was given this case study and I was asked to prioritize and state my reasons for prioritization. And my experience with Dr. Bart's course gave me a lot of clarity on how to approach that case study, and I was successful with that. And that was the only major case study I had to do, aside the other 3 or 4 interviews I did. So yes, it was very helpful for me.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And I've particularly, learned something very insightful, from you sharing your experience and this. And hopefully, we'll come up with more questions for you. There'll be time for Q&A where those on the floor can ask questions and they can direct their questions to you, Chidera, or direct their questions to Dr. Bats. And I'll just say it generally to everyone, please feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A session. You can drop them or you can raise your hand, but this will come towards the end of the program where we take as much questions as we can. But you can drop the questions in the Q&A session and we may consider to prioritize those that has been used through that channel. Chidera, once again, thank you very much for sharing this experience and being with us this far. It's very great to learn from your experience. From what I'm able to gather in particular, the technical skills of what you've learned from Dr. Bart's course has been helpful to you in terms of how you can, address questions you were, asked in your interview. And that is a very great thing to know for everybody who is just meeting Chidera for the first time. He's a um, very active and vibrant professional in the product management field. He has been there for nearly a decade of experience and currently worked for reputable organizations, including the public sector in the UK, with experience spanning across various regions. And we are super excited to have him today. I'll pass it on to you, Dr. Bats. We've had a number of sections in the past, and our students are super proud and excited to have you join us, continuously. We'll first of all start by saying that we are grateful for that, being able to transfer this knowledge beyond the shores of the Europe down to Africa, where significant amount of candidates are enrolling for your program, joining live to watch in the live session or watching the recorded versions. We've had thousands of students who have benefited from your teachings beyond the regions of Europe through our channel, in particular through the Doverland channel. And I'll pass it on to you. We want to learn about how to prepare and win a job interview. I want to keep it a bit broad. As a tech professional, if you allow me, but of course, we know that the niche is in product management, but yeah, take into consideration those who are not in product management, who are tech professionals. How do I win a job interview? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great to be here. Can you hear me okay? Just to double check.
Sorry. One more thing. Sorry, I can hear you. One more thing for someone just messaged me and said, hey, he has been on Dr. Bart's class in the past. I didn't do good justice in terms of introducing him. Dr. Bart is a senior product manager. He has been he's a former senior product manager with Microsoft. He's currently with Stepstone Group. If you know Stepstone Group, they're one of the biggest, providers for, job platforms like Total Job and the rest of them in Europe. And he's a senior product manager with Stepstone Group currently, and has been with a number of organizations. He has worked on Skype projects. Of course, Skype, which is one of the Microsoft products. He has worked on it and many other projects in the past. Thank you very much. I'll pass it on to you at this point, Dr. Bart. You can proceed, please.
Thank you very much. You're too kind. And I think I need to say that Chidera was right. I wouldn't remember a single student forum appears 4 years ago. Jesus Christ, time flies. But LinkedIn helped me find the chat and recall, so I can attest to the fact that we talked, that I was there to help him, and Chidera was actually one of the first students, so maybe the first 100, maybe not, because it was like April or something. Never mind. It's good to hear that an ex-student is, well, now 4 years of experience, product manager, still developing, still getting better, and remembering that there was this little guy from Poland that was there to help him to kick off this way. So that's an awesome and inspiring thing for me. When it comes to the job interviews, though, it's a process that can be not so memorable in terms of good memories, but hopefully after this webinar, you'll be better prepared. So Let me start by saying that you probably encountered or had an experience that you went for a job interview, it didn't go too well, or you were ghosted, you didn't hear back, whatever, and that was it. It was such a bad experience that you said, oh, it's not worth it, it's never going to happen to me. Why did they ghost me? Because it went so good for me. That is the first real failure that you can do. Because job interviews and getting a job is not about throwing a ball and someone catching it immediately. It's a completely different sport, and it's a marathon. It's a marathon that is difficult, will challenge your belief in yourself. It will put difficulties in front of you that you didn't expect, and that's okay. This is how it's supposed to be for us product managers. You need to realize you are applying for a job where, despite not being a direct manager to anyone, you basically control hundreds of thousands of whatever currency, let's say dollars, in case you are in a country where this means nothing, but where you control significant budgets to develop software. It's not a job given lightly. You are given enormous responsibility. And if you're not the right person for the job for that particular company, that is a great risk that they can't take. So it's not that the recruitment processes are broken, that you are undervalued. Perhaps so. Perhaps that's the case for you too. But in the end, even before the current drop in the recruitment numbers, I would say, I'll get to that in a moment, it all was already difficult to get a job. Now it's even harder. Why it's even harder right now? We are in a post-pandemic world of recruitment. A lot of people were laid off because they were overhired during the pandemic, and the dawn of the AI age in IT also makes it complicated. And we are during a revolution, quick evolution, hard to say, but the fact is that it's no status quo, and companies know that. Companies that were profitable are struggling. Companies that were not in the market 4 years ago are thriving. And no one knows what will happen in a year, 2, 5, 10. Maybe we'll all work with AI. Maybe most of us won't work and AI will replace most of the jobs. Perhaps everyone will be just doing art and enjoying the fruit of AI's labor and will be happy to enjoy life. I don't know. Nobody knows that. And if they say they do, they have no idea. And while those phrases, like we don't know what will be there in 10 years, were spoken out loud a lot and never meant anything, now when I hear about different AI developments, like being able to basically model any DNA strand, that's not what I mean, but I can't find the right word, allows us to potentially create life that will eliminate problems that we have, like pollution, carbon in the plastic that's not dissolving. The possibilities are endless with what we can do right now. But I digress. We are here, we are right now, and we are product managers in a marathon to get a job. And as I mentioned, you are your own worst enemy. You are your own coach. You are your own motivator. And if you go into this thinking, yeah, I'm gonna rock it, everybody wants to hire me, you are wrong. And you are not wrong because you are not that good. You might be. You are wrong because you are not in control of this process. You don't know all the circumstances, And sometimes a perfect candidate will be ignored just because the interviewer had a bad night, because her child was screaming all night and she was cranky. And because of that bad perception to begin with, you will be remembered as a worse candidate than a person who's less qualified but managed to get to talk to this person when she was on her good side. And I'm using a female name, but this can be any person. Everyone has different emotions, and it's a gamble. Every job interview is random. You might be really well prepared and still find a question that you've answered beyond correct, but you didn't hit the notes that the other side wanted to hear. This game is poor. This game is discouraging, but it's worth the price. But, and not but, and if you have the willpower, if you can sustain it, if you can realize you are at the mercy of many random elements, and you can only control maybe 40-50% of them by preparing, by doing your best, then suddenly you don't care about failures. You are learning to become a better job interviewee. Every job interview is a practice run for the one that will come in the end, which we will finally win. And I'm not saying this try to be a motivational speaker. This is what happened to me. This is how I became a real product manager, because I started in a small startup where I was named a PM. That's true. I had the title, but I didn't have the right skills. I wasn't looking at data. We weren't working in Scrum. I had barely any engineers. I only knew stuff about product development, which I taught myself. And that was not enough to be hired on the spot. However, just like hopefully you are lucky to hear what I'm saying, I was also lucky to go to the first job interview to a company that ultimately was purchased by Atlassian, the Jira creator. Jira is a product management software that you will likely encounter as a product manager. And they gave me a lot of time on the failed job interview. They went precisely telling me that I have the talent, that I am a good PM material, but you lack this, that, you failed here, that wasn't good, you missed this, missed that. And I had a bullet point list of things I needed to catch up on. And this is where I paused. I was still doing my PhD, so I decided that that's the priority, because if I get a normal job, back then my job was only remote, then I won't get any far with the PhD. So it was one or the other. Okay, never mind. I thought I'm getting very blurry, but that was never mind. So once I completed it, I restarted my job search, knowing full well what I was missing, trying to compensate for it in the pause period. And it took another, I think, a year or more of going to a job interview, failing, getting to know what was wrong, improving, repeat. Like if you are junior PMs or you studied PM, you know that product manager operates in a loop of having a hypothesis, implementing an experiment, and getting data from that experiment to learn on how it went and what can be improved further. And yeah, those job interviews became my product. Literally, that took so long. And though initially it could have been seen as humiliating, and trying again and again, even hearing from my family that it's not going to happen for me and I should quit, I didn't quit. In fact, I even had a job offer at one point that I rejected because it required me to change cities and get a lower pay. And I knew that I wasn't that desperate, I would say, just because I believed in myself and I thought that I can do it in a way that I'll be happy with it and not to do too many compromises. I don't think I would now advise myself to do what I actually did, but that's a fun fact. I think I would say to myself, grab what is available, learn the skills, get a proper ranking in your CV, and get out of there to a place you want as soon as possible, because that CV has to speak to your experience and those soft skills. So, yeah, but it turned out okay. I'm here and I'm trying to get you to follow my footsteps. So that's a very long intro. Let's see, I have a few keynotes. Let's say if I didn't miss anything from this section. Give me a sec. Okay, there are two more things to this broad intro. The success rating for you, the goal is not to get higher, actually. This will be a byproduct. Your goal is to make it to the next step consistently. So product manager in job interviews usually are not shorter than 4 steps. Well, there's like an HR intro, there's like talking to the first time to the hiring manager, so your future boss. If that's clear, then you probably have a set of calls with other PMs, engineers, designers, just to get to know you. And after that, you either get to talk to the hiring manager again or some head of product, or you get a task assigned, and based on the result of the task, you get decision that's positive or negative. So sometimes you will get ghosted and will never hear back after talking to HR, but your goal would be to always try to get one step further. Fail there, understand why by asking, by almost demanding detailed feedback every time. You won't get it always. But unless you send those emails even 4, 5, 6 times, you won't get it. The feedback, the understanding why you weren't chosen to be part of the next step is the most important thing in this process. So be sure to think that you want to get to the next stage and understand what stopped you from getting further. And to this philosophy, you need to be aware that being a very good, even perfect in your eyes candidate sometimes is not enough. Just like I said, there are random elements that can stop you, but in the end, it might come down to 2 or 3 people, and you might be the one not selected. This is not a failure. In fact, this is a success. You are then losing to people that were negligibly better than you. Maybe not in job interview, but in their experience. You can't really affect your experience, can you? You don't usually build your career to be hired by a specific company. You apply to what's available. So if someone has a better experience, that's okay. Again, employer is not there to judge your character, to judge you as a person, to give you value. You're for that. They are only there to assess whether you're posing the least risk of not giving enough return on their investment. That's all there is. It's just a job contract. Whether that's Microsoft, a startup, middle-sized company, it doesn't matter. Those job interviews do not weigh your value. Never. Then if you have this approach to job interviews, you will get depressed very quickly and throw it away. You can't. You won't be successful unless you are mentally resilient. And being second in a job interview process is a really big win. And they will tell you, you did excellent. We're sorry, you had to select a person who was objectively slightly better. We'd love to work with you, and just not on this occasion. And you know what? I actually got my Skype job because of that process. I went into far into the Teams recruitment process where I did back then excellent, but they said that they already have good candidates from earlier into the process. They decided to give a offer to one of them because they wanted to hire someone. However, you will be considered for another positions because we see potential in you. And this is how I ended up in Skype, which is being closed in about, 2 months? If you didn't know, that's a little bit of a depressing news and a sidetrack. So going back to the main topics again, you really need that patience and resilience mentally to run that marathon. But if you run the marathon and you're dedicated to run it till the end, you will run it till the end. You will get that job eventually. It will take months, maybe years. But on the way, you'll improve. And it's about the journey that you need to polish, that you need to get better at every step of the way. So that's okay, Vincent. We're not doing the Q&A until I'm done, right?
Yes, we'll do the Q&A in about once we get to 3:45 Nigerian time. That's 2:45 UK time.
Okay, so I still have 10 minutes to share.
We have some time based on the questions we've gotten from some students before we started this. Students would like in particular to hear your thoughts in terms of the technical skills. How they sort of maybe address the questions in interview. Sort of the preparations they need to make, any steps they need to put in, all the steps they need to put in place, and in preparing for interviews for technical jobs.
I apologize for the shouts in the background. There's one particular student of mine that's 15 months old and wanted to see his dad. So
that's absolutely fine.
Okay, so we spoke about the mental aspect of job search and how to get prepared for the job interviews. So now let's move on to talking about like the general philosophy of answering. And the fact is that most of the questions are not about a right or wrong answer. There often aren't any. Instead, it's about your train of thought. Thus, you have to have this mental plan of answering where you sort of brainstorm out loud, where you talk about things that you would consider, that you would reject, what data would you look for, yada yada. I'll get to that in a more detail. And one thing that is very important for you to be successful is to, despite making it up as you go along, being wary of time and the structure of your answer. You don't have infinite time, and there's still a lot of questions to be asked. Usually something between 5 and 7, though I were on interviews where we would have just one question and discuss it for 45 minutes. But realistically, and you can even ask how many questions are there to answer, you will be in charge of time management to answer as many questions as possible. And you want to answer as many questions as possible, because if there's, say, one stinker where you didn't match with the other party's expectation, you can catch up with other questions. So the more you answer, the bigger the probability that you will leave a good impression. And the structure is also important. You probably want to give like a short summary, immediate answer, and then walk the interviewer through your train of thought with an intro, with a long body of discussion, and finally a summary that puts it all together in a way that is the final thing that this interviewer will hear, which is supposed to resonate best and like, be that concluding simple answer that will end up on some evaluation sheet. So again, depending on how many questions there will be, like 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes is like that time you want to spend on it. You might not have a clock in the room. It's not advised to take out your phone and use it to measure time of your answer. But I presume that if you're here, you're dedicated enough to practice. So with example questions out there in the internet, you will be able to have a process learned that will allow you to fit the time frame. And other than that, you always can ask for time to prepare the answer. As long as you don't spend more than 30 to 60 seconds thinking it through, then being prepared, not being prepared, having time to figure things out before you start talking will allow you to avoid many mistakes that I did in similar situations in the past, where I would ramble on and make the answer too long and too confusing, and it was hard to pick from what I actually wanted to say and from what I said, and I heard myself and I said, no, that's wrong. So the more confident answer you can have while preparing during the interview, the better for you. And you can always ask for pen and paper or ask follow-up questions. In fact, there are some trick questions very often that require you to ask follow-up questions because a certain detail is missing. And if you jump directly to the answer without getting that detail, you'll be cancelled immediately.
All right.
Sorry, just needed to have a.
Okay.
Just needed a refresher. Sorry, it came over too long of a pause. And to what Vincent just did, be ready to be interrupted. It's actually good. Either you're saying all the right things and the interviewer is not interested in the rest because all that he or she wanted to hear was already heard, or you are so far off that without a little bit of help, you won't be able to answer the question satisfactorily. So the more interaction, the better for you to hit the right notes with the other person. You are able to find example questions. You are able to ask ChatGPT for example questions for a specific job interview, which means you can practice at home. You can have answers ready for very common interview questions, and therefore just not even improvise, but have speeches ready. Questions like, why did you become a product manager? How did you become a product manager? Tell us about yourself. What product management is for you. Those are all things that are very common, that are being asked almost on every interview, and you can come prepared with a story that you will have rehearsed in front of the mirror with your partners or on other job interviews dozens of times. Try not to be too humorous. A single joke at a good time is okay, just to like brighten the mood. But what you're doing is a very serious thing, the job interview. And remember, even if the other side is playful, or there's a committee that's making jokes, having fun, memorizing stories, we're not there to socialize. Be polite, laugh from the jokes, but don't be tempted to be the friend or tell a similar story that you've had at work. That's not a trap per se, but trying to appear as their friend basically takes away the time that proves that you are going to be a great colleague. And you can show that you are a positive, friendly influence, smiling, without going too deep into this good atmosphere. From the body language, you want to be very concentrated on the person that you're talking to. Look into their eyes, perhaps lean a little towards the front, so you can tell them without telling that you are really focused, that you are fully concentrated on them, and you are giving your absolute best. That's, I think, basically it. Final piece of advice, because I think we are already hitting a Q&A time, is that remember that try to keep things high level. If you go too much into details and edge cases on your own, you will muddle the waters. You can be always asked about those details and edge cases, but you can be even rejected because you didn't go into details too much. But I think that generally, like statistically saying, it's better to stick to high level and to ensure your communication is clear and well understood, rather than trying to guess the details that the interviewer wants to hear. But again, this is not a foolproof strategy. This is just a numbers game that I think will help you out. And I guess I still had one segment prepared about like answering questions you don't know. But let's move on to that Q&A. I will also tell you that all you've heard is basically a part of my another course that I don't think it's available on Vincent's platform. It's called Win the Job Interview, Win the Product Management Job Interview, and it's all that you've heard, lots more, but the core of it is like 42 different questions about product management that you can hear on those job interviews, and like my breakdown on what those questions actually mean, because you're not always being asked what you think you're being asked, and how to properly build your answers on different types of job interview questions. But I guess it's time to turn the table to you guys and start answering questions, and hopefully not job interview questions.
All right, guys. I will just jump into this quickly because of time. So if you like to ask question, please raise your hand and we'll bring you as a contributor to ask your question. So just use the system to click on the hand icon shown on your screen to raise your hand. We have Ruth and Iche, so I'm going to allow Ruth and Iche participate. I've sent you a request, Ruth. You can please check your screen, accept, and join us. Okay, please keep your question brief because of time. We have Ruth on board. Thank you very much for joining us, Ruth and Iche. Remember, if you ask a question, let us know who you want to address who you are rather addressing your question to. Well, we have Chidera. Chidera, please, if you don't mind, could you help us with your screen? We have Chidera and Dr. Bart, who are our guests today. And we started with Chidera sharing, insightful, making insightful contributions about his experience, and Dr. Bart taking us through the process. So please go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Um,
evening.
it's a pleasure being here. Actually, I just want to be quick about this. Now, I've never been a product manager before, but I've been a project manager, an architect, and all whatnot. So, for some weird reasons, I got an offer as a product manager, and I've been wrapping my head around it. I'm like, how do I defend this? I know there are kind of a lot of similarities because I have quite experience in Agile Scrum and all that. But for days, I've been juggling my head. How do I go about this interview? Because to my surprise, they were like, okay, our resume makes sense. So tell her to get ready for an interview. And I'm like, whoa, where do I start? The truth is, I've never been a product manager, but I need this job. Yeah, I've been an like I said, I've been a project manager and all whatnot, but I've gone through a couple of certification, couple of videos and all that on product management and all that, and I'm like, okay, is this something I can pull off for something you've never done before? So I think right now I need help. How do I go about that?
All right. Who is the question addressed to?
Anyone can answer the question. I just need help to go
Okay.
to pull it off.
Do you want to take it? Hi, Bart. Do you want to take it?
Yeah, of course. But I think that actually the calls that's on Vincent Patton. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Can you remind me how it's called?
Is it me?
Ruth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because I just want to encourage Ruth to just take the course, and I think that it's about like 2 days of listening and with notes, with remembering it. I think you can pull it off. It might be hard with lack of experience, but at least the way that Chidera one and how I structure it is that I don't focus on the theory, but in the real life product management, the real life issues that you can encounter, like team being undisciplined, like being too tired, and a lot of things that I took from my own career and life to make sure that whoever becomes a product manager after my course will be ready to face those situations. And I really think it will help. Also, the second course I did mention about winning the job interview will be very helpful to
Okay.
help to prepare you for very specific questions. I will, Vincent, if you could leave the link to the main course in the chat, and I will leave the one for job interviews.
All right, no problem. Chidera,
Nice,
do you want
it's already there. Okay, the Dovi learn. Jesus, sorry, my memory is not serving me well with so many initiatives.
Chidera, do you want to contribute to the the answering the question from Ruth, please?
Hi, Ruth.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yes,
Okay,
I can.
great. You mentioned you're a project manager,
Yes.
so they probably they probably took note of your skills, your agile skills. Um,
Okay.
you should expect questions around the sprint events,
Okay.
how you refine your backlog, how you manage your backlog.
Okay.
Mhm.
You should always expect questions about prioritization,
Okay.
uh, and then learn about a product roadmap. Figure out the product roadmap and how your product roadmap must always align with your organization's goals and vision. So you have to make a point of this and how you plan on creating a roadmap that helps the organization achieve its goals based on the products currently being worked on, and how you keep constantly prioritizing the backlog and refining the backlog to suit the goals that you need to achieve. And like Dr. Bart said, the course is a good listen for 2 days. It would help you. You can breeze through the topics and retain and don't feel nervous. There's
Okay.
something I like to tell people, that I love interviews. Interviews are the quickest way to gain experience as a product manager, because you get asked questions, and if you don't have the answers, even if you don't pass the interview, you know how to prepare for the next interview based on the questions you are asked, because you've learned so much from the interview. I learned a lot of things. At least 60% of my learning process was expedited by listening, by interviews. I interviewed so much. There was a period I was doing an interview every other day. So at least 3, 4 times a week, and it's very good. So do more interviews. Don't be scared. Go and study Dr. Bart's course, and the things I mentioned. Pay attention to those things. Bring them up. Talk about influencing stakeholders as well. Yeah,
All right.
that's it.
All right.
And
I'll just
also,
come in quickly to chip in something. Sorry, please permit me. Ruth, did you say you've gotten the job already?
Not yet.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
just
In the
got an
process.
information that they were okay with my resume and I'll be called on for an interview
Okay.
anytime
Okay.
soon.
Okay, so what I might just add to you is that, like Bart said earlier, and also Chidera mentioned, look out for the things, the kind of questions you expect to get as a product manager, or for a product manager job. Chidera has obviously mentioned many of them. Research more about these things, and we'll post the link to the course on this chat, and we'll send it as an email as well. As a broadcast to everybody who has registered. You should also check it out. Yeah, Dr. Bart, we actually have the other one for interview. We haven't published it yet. We hope to do that anyway. We have your four courses published on our platform. We hope to do that. But it's absolutely fine. You can share the link as well. I'll just move on to Wuna Amos. So please come on board with this question. Because of time, Dr. Bart, if you permit, let's just take a bit about, we waited for you a bit. So let's take a bit about 5 minutes thereabouts, and be able to capture as much questions as we can. We'll just take these people on the screen now. Muna, can you go ahead with your question? And please, in answering the question, if we can, because of time constraint, we should leave it just very concise. Yeah, Una, up to you now. Over to you, please. You're muted. In case you are not aware, please check your screen. Check your screen. You are muted. Okay, I'll just move to LV. Okay, we have one already.
still mute.
You're still muted. Your screen is up, but you're still muted. Let me see if I can. Okay.
Good afternoon, sirs.
Yes, good afternoon. Please go ahead.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sirs.
Yep. Good afternoon.
My question has been answered.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate
that's
it.
very fantastic to know that your question has
Yes,
been
sir.
addressed. Okay, that's okay. You can now mute. Okay, let me mute you. I'll pass it on to Elvis. Elvis, please do go ahead to ask us your question. If you don't mind.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I actually listened in quite late, but I actually want to appreciate the team, because the few minutes I joined have greatly been impacted. So just my question just goes to Chidera, right? So I randomly came across this webinar, or would I say this meeting, on my email during the week, and I just decided to say, okay, let me just join and listen in. Unfortunately, I saw the $100,000 job, and so of course it was catchy. So my question now is to Chidera. I wanted to ask, was the company already willing to pay $100,000, or you were the one that negotiated your way through, to the point where they were willing to pay $100,000? If you're the one that priced yourself to that amount, or because of course I'm not a product manager, I'm actually an accountant and all. So, but I just wanted to ask that, was it during the interview session you were able to tell them that, look, you are worth $100,000, or it was a fixed amount or it was already a budget by the company? I just wanted to know as it relates to negotiation skills and all. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly?
Of course.
Yes, very clearly.
Okay. Thank you for the question. The organization actually had the role for product manager at 100,000. Now, if you want to ask what I negotiated, I can't give you that information because it was more than the 100,000 that was advertised. So the 100,000 was what was advertised for that role.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I'll move on to Nature Onyim. Nature Onyim, please, can you mute yourself and ask your question, and let's take it on from there. Hello, Nature Onyim, please, can you check if you are having communication glitches or something? We can't hear you. Yes, you are not muted, but we can't hear you. I don't know if it's from my end, but I don't think any other person can hear you.
I can't.
Okay, because of time, we'll move on to Mayowa. Hopefully, we can get back to Nature Onyim if she has resolved the technical challenges. All right, Mayowa, over to you, please.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Vincent, for this. This is a good one. I'm not actually a product manager, and I got this from my mail likewise, like Heavy said. I'm into computer engineering and looking forward even into into data science because this time data and other likes. I don't want something that would be too much physical demanding and other likes. But to become a product manager, I think like how many months can one, invest into this to say, okay, you are fine and you can win an interview and you can be able to solve problem for organizations in this product manager, in this
Okay.
product management of a team, please.
Who is your question addressed to? I want to leave it open to anybody who.
Yeah, open, but maybe Dr. Bart Ken and Chidera, that'll be fine.
Okay. Dr. Bart, you want to take it first? It's asking for how long you can prepare, to be a product manager, a successful product manager, or get a product manager job or something.
I guess forever, really. I mean, I'm sorry for such a vague answer, but it's not about like spending, say, 2 weeks and being fully prepared. It's about learning the basics, learning about the history, and then building so-called product sense. And that will allow you to work with different companies and know what to expect and how to navigate your product roadmap. And even then you won't be super sure that you'll make good choices. Product management is about risk assessment and trying to invest in areas that pose the least risk. But the risk is still there. You may put months of work into a feature that you believe will change the product and it will be a flop and you've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's built into the position. And there's also not a universal time spent to get a job interview. Unfortunately, those are given based mostly on your experience. So you either try to get promoted in the company you are, or you become a product manager of your own product, say YouTube channel, blog, or something, and use this as your story and your initial platform of learning the ropes.
All right, because of time, let's take our last question from Joshua, Emmy Joshua. Emmy Joshua, please unmute yourself. Chidera, if you can take this question, that would be nice. If it's possible for you to also touch on what Mayowa asks, how long can you prepare for a product manager role or something like that, that will also be great. And this will be our final question for the day. Let me, Joshua, please go ahead. Keep the question brief as much as possible.
Okay, good evening, all.
Yep.
I want to thank you, Mr. Vincent, for this platform, and Mr. Chidera as well. Thank you, Dr. Bart, for the information that you're giving. I actually joined late anyway. But the few times I've stayed, I think I've gotten one or two points from our discussion. Okay, my question is just very simple. Now, is it proper for you to put a price tag on yourself based on your skill, based on your qualification, and based on your experience for any particular job, irrespective of the price or the amount the company wants to pay or what they've added in their adverts? That's what I want to know.
That you can do in several ways. I do start with like 120% of my current rate when I talk to a new employer. So that gives me a little bit of wiggle room. I try not to go below like 105, 110. But to my surprise, very often my 120 is being honored and even more. But to start off, you can use like those websites that give you example salary. Stepstone has this product, but I think only for Germany.
I think Glasgow.
Yeah. But I believe that there has to be some counterpart in every country to give you an assessment, like from the minimum to maximum, and try to find something that suits you and trumps your current salary, unless you are downgrading somehow from, I don't know, VP to a product manager. I've met such people, believe me. So the data is there in the world to help you assess your own value, but that's also very often relative, as you have to adjust to the budgets, you have to adjust your expectations, and as I mentioned, maybe consider salary downgrade if you are really keen to become a PM and get the skills. Probably you will recuperate your loss in a few years, most likely because PMs have very good salaries, but I won't pay it, so I can't promise it.
All right, thank you very much. Chidera, do you want to add something to that and possibly capture what you were asked as well in terms of how long do you want to prepare? Once you do that, we close for today because we've exceeded our time, please.
All right, thank you very much. What I'm going to say is, first of all, research the company you are interviewing for. Look at the job adverts and find out how much the company is willing to offer for that role. Like Dr. Bart said, you can take your request to 120%, which is 100% of whatever you're earning now plus 20% extra. But negotiating the salary, I think for everyone here who is trying to get into product management, the best advice I can give you is this: accept the amounts offered by the organization. The most important thing for you all, I believe, right now is experience. And this brings me to what the question that Maiwa asked. As a product manager, your experience is your biggest asset. And for a lot of you that might not have experience, you have to find experience and build experience. Dr. Bart has said the only way to do this is to work on products, and I agree. It's the best way. You have to work on products, and sometimes you have to work on products for free just to get experience. Experience you get for free, you can add it to your CV. And when you add that experience to your CV, then it gives you more leverage. It helps you come to the negotiating table for another job with much more confidence because you have a lot to show that you've achieved based on your experience. So, Maya, to answer your question about how much time you need, it might not necessarily be a situation of time. It might be a situation of experience in building products. How many products are you working on as a product manager? You need to build products. The more you build, the more you learn. the advice I can give everyone here, I didn't start my career as a product manager 4 years ago or 2 years ago. My first experience was during NYSC, for those of you who are Nigerians here. This was from 2014 to 2015. So this is 10 years of my career as a product manager. Back then, I didn't know it was product management I was doing. But the very first thing I remember doing, customer experience or user experience. These are key things you need to know as a product manager. How do users use your product and interact with your product? What are the complaints? It's like customer service. Customer service is closely related. So these are things as a product manager you need to know. It helps you. It helps you to understand how to find data. By data, I mean if your customers are complaining that your sign up page is loading every time and it takes 2 minutes to load, you have to talk with your software engineers to fix the problem with your sign up page. So that's kind of what you have to do as a product manager. You would learn so much more by going through the course that Dr. Bart has created for us. Nature's question about negotiating a salary, I believe I've answered that. You might
Yeah.
have had good job interviews, but sometimes if you don't have the experience to back up the salary you are speaking about, nobody's going to give you that salary. You need experience. You can't do without experience. So before you request, huge sums of money, you have to have the experience to back it up. And you might think you know a lot, but I promise you, when you go for a lot of interviews, you find out that you don't know anything. There's so much to learn in interviews. You think you've read it all, you think you've known it all. For somebody that's interviewing, it's very simple to know, or it's very easy to know somebody who has read as opposed to somebody who has actually done. There is a huge difference between reading and doing. So, as Dr. Bart said, you need to go and do the course, and also you need to build products. You need to work. Feel free to work for free. Somebody might say, "Oh, how can you work for free?" Don't worry about that. You're building yourself up.
All right. Thank you very much, Chinedu. That is very insightful for you. Sorry, Chidera. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Chidera. That is very insightful getting this information from you. I just shared Chidera's LinkedIn profile for those who want to follow him on LinkedIn, connect with him. Dr. Bart has already shared his LinkedIn profile as well. Please feel free to connect with them. These are people who learn.
We can see those informations on screen.
Okay.
Maybe you could share them again.
Okay, we are going to share an email sharing this information as well. We'll share two separate emails. One will contain Dr. Bart's LinkedIn profile, Chidera's own, and Dovile LinkedIn profile, and also another one will contain the link to the course. I'm going to share them via email. I want to thank everybody for joining. For those who are just joining us for the first time, we've had series of engagement with Dr. Bart. We've had engagement where we talked about how to be a great product manager, where we went into talking a bit about the technicalities. These are all published on LinkedIn and you can get them for free. So I'm going to share this info, some of these links as well. So go and check the previous one. This particular video is also going to be shared. The playback is also going to be shared so you can access them. Thank you very much for joining, and my sincere apology for everyone who've taken a bit of their time, who've taken more of their time. Please do pardon. We'll try to be more cautious of this in future engagement. Thanks again to our guest speakers. Thank you very much, Dr. Bart, for joining, and we're super excited to have you. Thank you, Chidera, for also being with us here, sharing your experience, expertise. We look forward to have you. We're already getting feedbacks from students who want to hear more from you, but because of time constraint, we have to call it a day. Thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye, and see you some other time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.